sparred in 10 days, Freddie. I had a little injury in camp, and I couldn't spar for 10 days.
Michael Dokes had the talent to become one of boxing's greatest heavyweights. His lightning-fast hands and explosive power made him a dangerous opponent for anyone. But his career wasn't just defined by victories and championships.
Beat Dokes. He's not hitting. 5 seconds left in the second round. Ali against Dokes in Miami Beach.
It was marked by brutal rivalries that left deep scars on his soul. Some fighters you beat and move on. Others stay in your mind forever. They haunt you. They disrespect you. They take everything from you and laugh while doing it. For Michael Dokes, certain opponents weren't just rivals in the ring. They became personal enemies who crushed his dreams and destroyed his confidence. These weren't friendly competitions. These were wars that went beyond boxing. Controversial decisions, vicious knockouts, and public humiliation created hatred that never faded. Some opponents mocked his struggles. Others stole his glory. A few exposed his weaknesses when he was most vulnerable.
Tries to avoid the power punches of Michael Dokes. Holyfield in the blue trunks, Dokes the former.
Today, we're counting down the 6 boxers Michael Dokes hated the most. These are the men who didn't just defeat him, they broke him. From bitter grudges to devastating losses, these rivalries defined the tragic side of Dokes' career. The pain they caused stayed with him long after the final bell rang. 6. Gary Coetzee. Gary Coetzee wasn't just another opponent for Michael Dokes. He represented something bigger and darker. Coetzee came from South Africa during the apartheid era, and that alone created tension. The world was watching, and politics mixed with boxing in the worst possible way. Dokes felt the pressure from every angle. This wasn't just about winning a fight, it was about representing his people against a system everyone hated. The media played favorites, and it wasn't Dokes. They painted Coetzee as the brave underdog with a glass chin who refused to quit. Meanwhile, Dokes was portrayed as the troubled American with demons. Every story focused on Dokes' personal struggles instead of his incredible talent. Coetzee got sympathy. Dokes got judged. The promotional machine worked against him from the start, and he knew it. When Coetzee won the WBA heavyweight title in 1983, it burned Dokes inside. Here was a fighter he believed he could destroy, wearing a world championship belt.
American people for all their support, and I want to thank the South African people coming to see me.
The boxing politics made it impossible for them to meet when it mattered most. Dokes wanted that fight desperately. He needed to prove he was the better man. But the opportunity never came, and that ate away at him. Years passed, and the rematch Dokes craved remained a fantasy. Coetzee moved on with his career, while Dokes was left with frustration. Every time he saw Coetzee's name mentioned as a former champion, the bitterness grew. It wasn't just about losing a potential payday. It was about unfinished business that would haunt him forever. The fight that never happened became one of his greatest regrets. 5. Ronaldo Snipes. Ronaldo Snipes gave Michael Dokes his first professional loss, and he never let anyone forget it.
And that he has to do. Eddie Mustafa has to get aggressive.
In 1980, Snipes knocked out Dokes in the first round. It was brutal, fast, and completely unexpected. For a young fighter with championship dreams, this defeat was devastating. Dokes was supposed to be the next big thing. Instead, he was lying on the canvas, humiliated. What made it worse was how Snipes used that victory for the rest of his career. Every interview, every press conference, Snipes brought it up. He told anyone who would listen how he destroyed the great Michael Dokes in one round. While Dokes tried to move forward and build his legacy, Snipes kept dragging him back to that terrible night. The constant reminders were like reopening a wound that never healed. Dokes blamed his poor preparation and lack of experience for the loss. He had legitimate reasons for what happened, but Snipes mocked these excuses publicly. He laughed at Dokes' explanations and called them weak. According to Snipes, there were no excuses. He was simply the better fighter that night, and Dokes couldn't handle the truth. This disrespect cut deeper than the knockout itself. Their paths crossed at boxing events over the years, and the tension was obvious. Snipes would taunt Dokes in front of other fighters and media members. He enjoyed watching Dokes squirm when people brought up their fight.
He chose me out of disrespect. He could have chose Page, Dokes, Cooney.
For Dokes, Ronaldo Snipes represented a dark chapter he desperately wanted to erase, but Snipes made sure that chapter stayed open forever, poisoning Dokes' mind with memories he couldn't escape. 4. Greg Page. Greg Page didn't just beat Michael Dokes, he destroyed him in front of the world. Their first fight in 1984 ended with Dokes knocked out cold in the 8th round. It wasn't a competitive loss. It was a beating that shattered Dokes' confidence. Page celebrated like he had conquered a king, and in many ways, he had. The way Page gloated after the victory made Dokes sick. This wasn't respect between warriors. This was pure humiliation. What burned Dokes even more was how Page handled himself after the fight. He told reporters that Dokes was overrated and easy to figure out. Page claimed he knew exactly how to break Dokes mentally and physically. The disrespect didn't stop in the ring. It continued in every interview, every public appearance. Page made sure everyone knew he had exposed Dokes as a fraud. Those words cut deeper than any punch ever could. When Dokes got his revenge in the rematch, knocking Page out in the first round, he thought justice was served. But Page refused to give him credit. He called it a lucky punch and claimed Dokes caught him on a bad night. The excuses were endless. Page dismissed the knockout as a fluke, as if Dokes hadn't earned his redemption. This denial made the rivalry even more personal and bitter. Beyond the ring, their relationship turned toxic. Promoters loved Greg Page because he had charisma and charm. He knew how to work the cameras and win over crowds. Dokes felt invisible next to him. The media attention always went to Page, even when Dokes was the more talented fighter. This jealousy festered inside Dokes. He hated that Page got everything handed to him while he had to fight for scraps of respect. Their rivalry wasn't just about boxing anymore. It was about ego, pride, and two men who genuinely despised each other. 3. Mike Weaver. Mike Weaver became Michael Dokes' eternal nightmare. Their 1982 title fight lasted only 63 seconds, and Dokes won the WBC Heavyweight Championship. It should have been his greatest moment. Instead, it became the most controversial victory of his career. Weaver claimed he was robbed. He said the referee stopped the fight too early after a questionable knockdown. From that night forward, Weaver never stopped complaining, and Dokes never escaped the shadow of doubt. The phantom knockdown controversy destroyed what should have been Dokes' proudest achievement. Weaver went to every media outlet and screamed that he was cheated. He said Dokes didn't really beat him. He claimed the whole thing was fixed and corrupt. Boxing fans started questioning if Dokes was a legitimate champion. Every defense of his title came with an asterisk in people's minds. Weaver's constant complaints poisoned the well, and Dokes couldn't wash away the stain. What made it unbearable was how the boxing establishment treated the situation. Promoters and officials always seemed to side with Weaver's version of events. They gave Weaver sympathy and understanding. Meanwhile, Dokes was treated like he had done something wrong by winning. The rematch negotiations dragged on forever, with everyone acting like Dokes owed Weaver something. He didn't ask for controversy. He just wanted to be recognized as champion. Weaver's bitterness became a prison for Dokes. No matter what he accomplished afterward, people always brought up that 63-second fight. Weaver made sure of it. He built his entire post-fight narrative around being the victim of injustice. For Dokes, this meant his championship reign would forever be questioned. The hatred between them went beyond personal dislike. Weaver had stolen Dokes' moment of glory and replaced it with Yongju doubt and shame that would follow him to his grave. 2. Evander Holyfield. Evander Holyfield represented everything Michael Dokes had lost: youth, speed, hunger, and respect. When they fought in 1989, Dokes was already past his prime. His body had been ravaged by years of substance abuse and poor decisions. Holyfield was the rising star, fresh and powerful. The 10th round knockout wasn't just a loss, it was a public execution. Holyfield destroyed what was left of Dokes' dignity in front of millions of viewers. The worst part wasn't the defeat itself, it was what the fight represented. Dokes knew he was being used as a stepping stone for Holyfield's career. He wasn't a legitimate contender anymore. He was a name on Holyfield's record, a former champion brought in to be sacrificed. The boxing world had already written him off. They wanted to watch the young lion devour the old, broken warrior. Dokes felt like a piece of meat thrown to the wolves. Holyfield's professional demeanor made it even worse. He didn't trash talk or show disrespect before the fight. He was calm, focused, and businesslike. This coldness cut deeper than any insult. Holyfield treated Dokes like he was just another opponent, not a former champion who once had the same dreams. There was no recognition of what Dokes used to be, just pity masked as professionalism. After the knockout, the media used the fight to write Dokes' career obituary. Every article talked about how far he had fallen. They compared the powerful young fighter he once was to the shell of a man Holyfield destroyed. The psychological damage from that night never healed. Dokes saw himself through Holyfield's eyes and hated what he found. This wasn't just a loss. It was the moment Dokes realized his greatness was gone forever, and everyone had watched it die. 1. Larry Holmes. Larry Holmes was the man Michael Dokes hated most in boxing. Holmes constantly called Dokes a paper champion who didn't deserve respect. He said Dokes only had a title because of the controversial Weaver fight. Holmes attacked everything about Dokes, from his boxing skills to his personal struggles. The trash talk before their 1983 fight was vicious and cruel. Holmes showed no mercy, mocking Dokes' addiction problems and questioning his mental strength. These weren't just pre-fight tactics. They were personal attacks designed to destroy Dokes psychologically. When they finally fought, Holmes backed up every word. He beat Dokes brutally, stopping him in the 10th round. It wasn't competitive. It was a beating that exposed every weakness Dokes had. Holmes proved he was right all along. Dokes wasn't ready for that level of competition. The humiliation was complete and devastating. For Dokes, that night became the lowest point of his entire life. He had been destroyed by a man who never respected him and never would. Holmes didn't show any mercy after the victory. In post-fight interviews, he continued mocking Dokes. He talked about how easy the fight was and how Dokes never belonged in the ring with him. Holmes represented the establishment side of boxing that always looked down on Dokes. He was the educated, well-spoken champion who did everything right. Dokes was the troubled kid from Akron who couldn't get his life together. The contrast was painful and obvious to everyone. The defeat sent Dokes spiraling deeper into addiction and depression. While Holmes continued his legendary career, Dokes fell apart completely. Watching Holmes succeed while his own life crumbled created lasting bitterness that never faded. Holmes had taken everything from him: his confidence, his title hopes, and his self-respect. Their rivalry symbolized Dokes' failure to reach his full potential. Larry Holmes wasn't just the fighter Dokes hated most. He was the living reminder of everything Dokes could have been but never became. Michael Dokes' career was filled with painful rivalries that scarred him forever. These 6 fighters didn't just beat him, they broke his spirit. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell for more boxing content.